1. Phew, thanks for letting me vent about this frustrating situation. Living with someone so lazy has really been getting to me. We were both chosen for this prestigious master's program and placed together in the same room since we'd be working under the same supervisor. I was excited to collaborate with a like-minded colleague, but quickly realized he doesn't have the same work ethic I do. While I've been busting my butt studying and working tirelessly in the lab, he sleeps and goofs off on his computer and phone all day long. Our course is 3 years, and he hasn't stepped foot in the lab once in our 2 years here. It's infuriating that he's slacking his way through while I put in real work. He seems a very innocent person from people outside, but I'm the only one who really knows his true colors. I think he takes advantage of our lax supervisor to not face any criticism. If you give a dumb excuse, our supervisor just accepts it. But it's not fair for him to scam his way through this intensive program while I carry the load. I strongly dislike this kind of behavior where one's actions are dependent on the circumstances. For instance, if he doesn't feel pressured, he completely neglects his studies. It's perplexing why he even bothered to apply when he knew he wouldn't be committed. Throughout my life, I have never been fond of individuals who require constant pushing to accomplish tasks, especially when it comes to academics. In the past, this didn't affect me much since I didn't frequently interact with such individuals or have them as roommates. Consequently, I easily avoided becoming obsessed with their behavior. However, the current situation is different because the person exhibiting this behavior is my roommate, meaning I have to face him every single day. Living with him and witnessing his lazy antics every single day is mentally and emotionally draining. I'm trying my best to stay focused on my goals and block him out, but it's so difficult having to encounter him constantly. I've tried talking to him about pulling his weight and focusing, but nothing changes. He clearly wasn't ready for this level of commitment if he can't even put down Candy Crush for an hour. Now it's negatively impacting me too because I'm constantly distracted by his nonsense when I have to go back to the room and spend time in the room during weekends, as I need to relax or take a rest and wind off. He video calls his girlfriend for ages each day, laughing hysterically at everything she says. It makes relaxing and finding peace of mind so hard when I can hear their whole conversation. And the worst part, he has the audacity to make up lies to his girlfriend on the phone about going to campus to study, when I know for a fact he's been asleep all day. Who does that? Why lie about something so pointless? His arrogance bleeds into their calls too. He's obnoxiously loud, like he wants me to hear every word. A few times they've even asked, "Is your roommate there?" like I'm some character in their little play. It makes me feel constantly watched and judged in my own space. I can't move out as renting is super expensive, and also I can't change rooms because there is no space. All the rooms are full, and I kinda like this room because it is big compared to the others, so I'm out of options at the moment. I need to live with him forever until I graduate. I'm at my wit's end dealing with this inconsiderate clown. Has anyone been through a similar situation? Hellfreezer's note: you gotta let it go, man. I mean, being obnoxiously loud, absolutely, ask them to keep it down. But as far as everything else goes, let them make their own choices. No point getting upset at them because their choices really don't have a negative impact on your life. I understand that it's frustrating to see someone taking up a space here that could go to someone who would be more, who would engage more with the program, who would put in more effort, and that's not nice of them to do. I'm sure there could be a multitude of reasons for the way they act. Maybe they've been pressured by their parents all their life, they're away from their family, this is a chance for them to cut loose. Or maybe they've always been lazy. Maybe they just test well. But it doesn't matter. Get a set of noise-cancelling headphones, enjoy your life, forget they exist. You really don't even have to acknowledge them. And I think that would be better for both of you. Besides, if they're really not applying themselves to the coursework, they will eventually just fail and get kicked out. 2. This is a story from a few years ago. I lived with this person for less than a year. I have since blocked them on everything and have no contact with them. They asked me not to share things they did and keep it to myself, but Here's the story. So first, do not get roommates on Facebook Marketplace. It is a bad choice. I just finished community college and was starting my bachelor's and was just looking for a place. I found this girl looking for a roommate, $3.25 a month, and took it. It was awful. I think for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to make a list of the things she did. Started stealing my clothes because she wouldn't do her laundry. It took me a while to notice, and this escalated very quickly. I would say, "Oh hey, I like that shirt, where did you get it?" She would say, "Oh, I don't remember." I would say, "Oh cool, I have one just like it." I figured it out eventually. It got to the point she would steal my underwear. I completely ran out of panties and asked her if she had been taking my clothes. She said no, but there in the floor is my favorite Victoria's Secret bright yellow panties with her period blood all over them. Would not do the dishes. I'm not great at doing dishes either, but it was bad. She ruined so many of my dishes. Some things were very sentimental to me, and I would find them in her room covered in maggots. She would not throw away trash. She would stuff old food and trash under her bed. She wouldn't take the trash to the dumpster and would let it pile up. I got tired of cleaning her messes and decided to stop cleaning up after her. We got roaches because of the mess in her room. It took me 2 years to get rid of those roaches. She stole my expensive vibrator, lied to my face about it, and helped me look for it. I found all my stuff she took when she went to house sit for her friend, and I went through her room to find all of it. I sent her a photo of my vibrator in her drawer and lost it. This was a little before I moved out. I worked as a CNA in a nursing home during the pandemic. I got COVID before Christmas in 2020, so we were quarantined. I tried to set up a nice little Christmas for us and stuff since we were stuck inside for 2 weeks. After the 2 weeks, she just decided she wasn't going back to work after that, and it became an issue with bills. In addition to the clothes thing, one time I came home and she was wearing a shirt I kept hung on my wall as decoration. It belonged to my friend who passed away from a drug overdose. I lost it then too. She would take and use my expensive self-care and beauty products and of course lie about it. When I put a lock on my door, I came home one day to my door being ripped off the hinges. She would use her depression as an excuse for her terrible behavior. The cleaning and stuff, yeah, I have cyclothymia. I understand it can be hard. But Jesus Christ, that's not an excuse for the rest. I came home from work one time and she said, "Oh, I didn't know you were going to be here. I was going to have a threesome on the couch in the living room." She got an STD, and her habit of stealing my underwear and toys made me want to throw up when I found all of this out. After dealing with all this, I contacted previous roommates, and she did the same things to them. They were somehow still her best friends. One even suspected her of killing her pet rabbit when she was moving out. You couldn't pay me to be friends with her after all that. I left before the lease was up. I let the landlord know and continued to pay the rent for the last 2 months. In that time, she let the apartment get so bad I got an email from the landlord about it being a health code violation. I told him that the condition she lives in is why I left. When it was time to move out, she just abandoned the apartment and left everything. Her dirty laundry, trash, full litter box, etc. The landlord said that he couldn't remove her stuff without filing an eviction notice. I called her and told her, and she just said she forgot. I helped the landlord clean out the apartment. Might be crazy for this one, but later that year someone tried to file taxes on TurboTax in my name and open a green dot card. Luckily, I had already done my taxes. She was an accountant and would be the only person who would have had access to my social security number, since she was always rummaging through my things. That might be a long shot, but I wouldn't be surprised. She would always play the pity card and ask and manipulate people for money. I have since blocked her and everything. Before that, she said, "Please keep this between you and me." Well, if she didn't want to look bad, she shouldn't have been a nasty hoe. Hope she's gotten it together in the last 4 years at least. Our survey says, 3. I'm a 25-year-old man. an international Asian student. Not dissing anyone, but to give further context, I'm living with another Asian, not the same country, but from the same vicinity, a 27-year-old male, in a 2-bed, 1-bath apartment. This is my first time in the USA, let alone abroad. I would like to say I'm generally a clean guy, however, the pandemic may have made me a bit of a germaphobe. I shower daily before bed, especially if I've been out that day, because that's the only place where I can control the cleanliness. Since the roommate is also Asian, I didn't think it was a big ask to request for no shoes indoors, and he agreed. We also agreed to take turns cleaning the apartment once every 2 weeks. I am also a person who prefers to be self-sufficient, so that I don't rely much on others. Right. Let me get into the problems. First, the shoes thing. He was fine for the first 4 months or so. After that, he started walking around inside the house to the point where the bathroom floor gets a muddy tinge to it within a week or so after cleaning. The cleaning was done fine, but it has been less and less recently. He does clean, but says he forgets to clean specifics like the fridge, bathroom, mirror, etc. The last time was worse. He kept on saying he'll clean soon, it was his turn, and dragged it to 4 weeks. I was having a fever at this point, but the apartment was so messy, so I took it upon myself to clean the entire apartment, and texted him to clean the next couple of turns, and the reply was, okay. 2 weeks passed, no cleaning was done. He kept saying he'll clean, but no. It was the 3rd week when he finally cleaned, but when I asked whether he cleaned the bathroom the next day, he said he had forgotten again. 3 more days later, he just cleaned the bathroom floor. Didn't clean the toilet, not the bathroom mirror, nor the sink. Next, most of the appliances in the kitchen are what I got after I moved in. We moved in together in campus housing. He didn't chip in to any of those, and I didn't ask him to either. However, he said he wanted to use my rice cooker. They're efficient. Until he bought one. It's been 8 months and he hasn't got one. It's fine by me. I sometimes even let him use it when I needed it because he wanted it first. But the thing that irks me is he never cleans the container after he cooks the rice. He just fills it with water and leaves it for days. And when I need to use it, I have to clean it. I told him a couple of times. He did clean it several times and stopped again. Now I've had to resort to not cleaning the container after I've used it myself. So whoever needs the container cleans it. And yeah, he doesn't clean the inside of the microwave, which I bought, in the bi-monthly clean. I also bought a drying rack to sun-dry my towels on a daily basis to disinfect them. He never asked if he could use it, but now he regularly puts his clothes on them, and is awkward for me to request him to remove them every single time I need it. Then there is one annoying thing he does. The bathroom we share is much closer to my room, separated only by a wall and the 2 doors. My room and the bathroom are attached 90 degrees to each other, and he pees with the door open. It's fine to a certain extent, but he pees right at the center so as to create the loudest possible sound. I asked him to close the door while he uses it, which he does when I'm up, but I'm a night owl and he is a morning person. He does this in the morning, which has woken me up several times. I can't ask him to pee quietly. Yes, you can. But the least he could do is close the door. I'm sorry for the long rant. It's been bubbling for so long, and I have not discussed the entire issue with anyone. It felt like I needed to. I'm an introvert, so it's difficult for me to gather myself up and ask for a seemingly reasonable request. And it's even difficult to ask for the same multiple times. Am I asking too much and being the bad roommate? Four. This year was my first year at ASU as an art student. I'm an out-of-state student from a relatively large town in Wisconsin. I don't know anyone at ASU, so I chose my roommate completely randomly. I live with one roommate and 2 suitemates in a Jack and Jill style dorm. At first my roommate, O, a design major, was really nice, and I thought I hit the jackpot because my 2 suitemates, M, a film major, and L, a design major, were also great. But as time went on, that facade dropped and O began to show her true colors. The first thing I noticed was how lazy and messy she was. She skipped around half her classes, and if she wasn't in class, she was sleeping. She would wait to do all of her projects until the day before, would pull an all-nighter and fall asleep, leaving all the supplies all over the floor. I even got a needle through the foot once, but she kept doing it. Sometimes she wouldn't even do her homework and would have our friends do it for her. I am the complete opposite of her. I am very ambitious and take my schoolwork seriously. Plus, I keep my room organized. Me and our other roommates have talked to O about this. But she doesn't clean, leaving her project supplies and other less hygienic things all over both her and my side of the room. This leads into the next problem, which is that she is very unhygienic. She waits weeks to take out her trash and just leaves the bags on my side of the room by the door. A lot of stuff she doesn't even put in bags. She has rotting food and drink containers taking up her entire desk, and her side of the sink as well as on the floor. She also has poor personal hygiene. She shaves and clips her fingernails and toenails in her bed, and then shakes it on the floor. She takes several-day gaps in her hygiene, like teeth brushing, skin care, and deodorant, which you really need in Arizona. She gets sick once a month and refuses to quarantine herself even though she knows I'm immunocompromised and live with my 80-plus grandparents. Speaking of personal hygiene, she has also taken so much stuff of mine both consensually and unconsensually. Most of it is hygiene stuff which she just refuses to buy, and I basically force her to take. She has also taken several of my sweatshirts, one pair of sweatpants, and several necklaces, all of which she refuses to give back. This next one isn't stealing, but she refuses to buy any of the toiletries or cleaning supplies for the suite. Me and Am are the only ones who buy that stuff, and I am the only one doing any cleaning. That's all standard bad roommate stuff, I think, but she is not just a bad roommate, but a bad person in general. She is the most insufferable, stereotypical East Coast liberal elitist I have ever met. For context, she's from Cambridge, her parents are hippies, and she went to an unorthodox liberal arts high school where she didn't do math or science. She has repeatedly called me, my family, and my friends, most of whom are not white, a bunch of ignorant, racist hicks. In fact, she looks down on any person or place who isn't as advanced as her. Every time we go to a party and meet new people, she tells everyone I'm a racist. The only reason she refers to me as racist is that my town used to be a sundown town, and my high school had a couple of hate crime incidents, so nothing to do with me. If anyone disagrees with her, she just calls them uneducated. She made us do a moment of silence at dinner on MLK Day, and yells at me for murdering babies whenever I get Starbucks. I have donated over $200 to the PCRF. She got mad when I mentioned my savings account that I have been contributing to by myself for the past 5 years. I have been working 40 hours a week since I was 14. Because apparently most people don't have savings accounts, not even true. She is just extremely self-righteous. And it's not even genuine. Me and Em are non-binary, and O refuses to use our preferred pronouns even though she's supposedly so woke and progressive. She cosplays as someone she isn't. She told us we were all really poor, which I thought was weird since neither of her parents work and she's not paying for her own college. Plus, she gets a $300 check every month to spend. Everything she buys is very expensive, and we literally took her to her first Walmart. Turns out her grandma is just very rich and literally is a Harvard board member, which is why O lives a block away from the school. None of which is a problem. I don't care if someone is rich, but she shames me. I am also not paying for my own college. My family has saved enough money since I was born. My grandparents also sent me money each month on the condition that I maintain a 3.8 plus GPA. O calls me rich. I am not. And privileged every chance she gets. But she comes from even more money than me. I should also mention that she goes to Europe twice a year and was shocked that no one else in our friend group has left the US. Lastly, she's just so fake. She loves to talk trash about everyone in our friend group, even her best friends. And even me. She also talks badly about my family and friends back home in Wisconsin in front of other people. O also loves to shame me in front of others. I already mentioned some of it one time we were hanging out with our friends, and she just said, unprompted, that she thought I was the biggest and most out-of-shape person there. I'm a competitive tennis player, and in high school I was a 3-sport athlete. And considering what she looks like, it was a crazy thing to say. She will make fun of me for going to bed early and doing homework, even though she's failing half her classes. She also flipped out on me for saying I didn't want people smoking in our room. I'm asthmatic. The worst by far, though, was that when she found out there was a guy I liked, she started playfighting and just generally being a pick-me around him, even getting Snapchat to talk to him. She would not invite me to parties she knew he was at. It was so fake. Of our other roommates, M totally agrees with me about how bad O is. L is only here once every 2 weeks, but she loves O. Hellfreezer's note. You really have to stop doing anything to help this person. Don't buy them toiletries. Don't loan them things. If they steal something of yours, take it back, that sort of thing. Or maybe get the cops involved if it turns out to be something really egregious, like if I don't know if she's taken money or anything like that, or something valuable. If the monetary value is high enough, she will get in legal trouble for it. The fact of the matter is, this person is not going to go anywhere in life. You are. You're putting the work in. You're doing the right thing, stay the course, you're going to be fine. She knows that, and she knows she doesn't have the wherewithal or the means, in the back of her mind, to sustain herself, because she's living off Grandma's money. Well, with any luck, Grandma'll get fed up one day and she'll get a wake-up call, but who knows. But for now, you do you. You're all right. 5. Basically, I left my hometown last minute due to an unsafe living environment, and I had nowhere else to go, so I reached out to my friend, and she welcomed me with open arms. Originally, I was just supposed to stay for a bit until I could get back up on my feet, but I really enjoyed being around my friend, and her house is nice with a great location, and they offered me a room for rent, so I decided to stay. My friend owns the house, so she is technically my landlord, and we live with another girl, Gigi. When I got here, my friend told me about Gigi and explained that she has been acting distant and wants to break her lease and move out earlier. And my friend asked if I would want to take over her room when Gigi leaves in a few months. I agreed because although the rent would be higher, the room would be a bit more spacious, and I foolishly signed a lease agreement, saying that I would be responsible for taking over Gigi's lease. Keep in mind at this point I had only been there about a day. A couple of weeks go by and I finally have a chance to hang out with Gigi alone, and she explains that she wants to move out because of my friend's boyfriend. She doesn't feel comfortable with him staying with us, and she feels like she can't just walk around the house anymore. Since I've lived in this house, my friend's boyfriend is here every day. He even uses her car, and they get in arguments because he is always saying that he needs the car. She constantly complains about him, and they argue all the time. I've tried to give her advice, but it always boils down to her seeing improvement in him. I liked the boyfriend when I first met him, but now that I've had time around him, I feel that he is really disrespectful to my friend and pretty much takes advantage of her generosity, which really annoys me. He has also made sexual comments and jokes about both Gigi and I, which is just creepy and weird. She's told me that she's asked him to move in since he's here every day anyway. But he says he doesn't want to, even though he's here every day anyway. She also had told me that he pays rent at another place, which I'm now doubting to be true, which is why she hasn't tried charging him rent. Today, Gigi and I decided that we should have a conversation with my friend about the boyfriend living with us. So Gigi texts my friend and asks if we could all meet outside the house for the coffee. To which she responds that if it's regarding the house, then she'd like to have a conversation over text. So Gigi explains that we both don't feel comfortable having the boyfriend over all the time, and we don't feel at home in our own house. And my friend responds with, well, he's not moving out, so please let me know what he's done wrong so he can correct it. And I respond with, move out? I didn't realize he paid rent. Petty, I know, but I was feeling passionate. After we explained why we were uncomfortable with him being there, and we also emphasized that we never agreed to live with the man before signing the lease, she repeats again that he's not moving out, and if we would like to break our lease, then that's an option for us. We asked how much it would be to break our lease, and she says, "How many months you have left on the lease times the rent. I've literally just moved in a couple of weeks ago, so that would be over $10,000 for me, which obviously isn't realistic. I really don't know what to do. I'm not sure why I'm posting this, but I just felt that I needed to vent. I'm just afraid that I'm going to be stuck in another toxic living environment after just escaping one. We live in California. If anyone could please let me know the legality of the situation, that would be really helpful. There is no guidance on the lease regarding breaking the lease either. I also want to add that the boyfriend is constantly making messes and has not helped us clean once." Hellfreezer's note: "I'd take a good look at that lease if I were you and see what the terms are, if it says how many people will be living in the house, how many rooms are to rent, if there's any indication, any recourse you would have in there for breaking the lease, because if your landlord's not living up to the terms that you signed, regardless of whether or not they own the house, if they're not holding up their end of the bargain, that would give you reason to break the lease. I'm not a lawyer, of course, and not a lawyer in any way, but it would be something worth looking into." Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Bad Roommates, Episode 13, and thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do hit the like button, and if you'd like early access to the videos, then support me on my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. You'll also find links there to the Hellfreezer merchandise store, and there's also a link to the Discord if you'd like to join us over there. If you liked today's video, then you can leave a tip by clicking on the heart with the $sign underneath, although none of that is ever required, but I do appreciate it. Okay, no other business today, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. Today's question comes from my moderator, Ashley, on the Discord server, and that is, which part of the cake is best, the actual cake or the frosting? Well, that's an easy one for me to answer. Neither. Cake on its own is fine but lonely. Frosting on its own is incomplete. You combine them together and you achieve perfection. Other answers may be available, and why don't you leave yours in a comment below? And before we go, let's have the answer of the day from a previous video. And today's answer was favorite slang terms, I think. Today's answer comes from Surat. I use the word yeet as often as I possibly can. It's just fun to say. It is indeed. That word was ruined for a little while for me, but I've decided to reclaim it. Yeet. Indeed. Thank you very much for your answer, Surat. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.